Hello there, Reject Nation. Greg.
John!
We're gonna watch a video from new rock stars per the newest tradition, I suppose. The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 3. Easter eggs, breakdown, hidden details. I think they're the best at doing this, and I always love watching them right after watching an episode of The Mandalorian. By the way, you should check out our reaction to that. If you haven't already, go ahead. Link in the description box, because they always point out things where I'm like, definitely didn't pick up on that. Thanks, Eric Voss. I'm assuming that's you in this video. Let's swing into action.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 3, Chapter 11, The Heiress. An episode that will make you hate Quarrens even more, but...
That's what they're called.
Make you love Clone Wars even more for the live-action arrival of Bo-Katan Kryze. And someone finally telling Din Djarin, no, dude, you're the weird one. Take off your damn helmet and stop drinking that Kool-Aid. Oh, and be sure to check out WikiLeaks if you haven't already. I couldn't be there this week, but Tommy and Philip seem to have it all under control. In this video, I'm going to break down all the interesting Easter eggs, Star Wars references, hidden visual details, all the stuff that you might have missed. You know the drill. Oh, and yes, I am wearing our custom This Is The Way shirt. It is available at newrockstarsmerch.com. If you buy it for a few bucks more, you can write in a custom shout out in our WikiLeaks episodes. What an opportunity. All right, spoilers for the episode. Let's get started. Okay, the opening shot of the episode is the opening shot of the Season 2 trailer. The battered Razor Crest drifting past the gas giant Cole Ivan toward the estuary moon Trask. Now, the Orbesh on Mando's screen translates to a stabilizer error, and then moments later, landing gear offline, setting up this close call rapid descent to the Trask harbor zone. I love how this descent kind of sets up the key plot device of the final act of the episode, where those Mandalorians use the Imperial freighter needing to clear the harbor zone first in order to hijack it before its rapid ascent, an ascent that is reversed to another rapid descent into the populated harbor zone after Moff Gideon orders
Much
it
deeper than I
realized.
realized.
Some in-universe profanity.
Dick Ferrick. Landing arrays responding.
What is that
That
insult?
swear comes up later from Costco Reeves,
He's one of them.
Yeah, she calls him that.
and both are a
What is-
callback to the moment.
So
they
dank.
met
What does
for
it
this
mean?
in
The
series
dankest
pilot
Ferrick.
episode. Dank Ferrick, that was close. And there's some more great production design details from the show. As they burn up during the atmosphere entry, condensation
God damn
drops
it.
from the bulkhead, showing how this process is less of the, typical clean space travel we always see in the Star Wars universe, and instead more like what the early NASA
Like
Apollo
Bryce
missions
Dallas
went through
Howard's
during their
daddy.
re-entry. And you can also see how
Exact.
this extreme heat causes the water in the
B-roll
front canister to begin to
Apollo
boil.
13.
No, we don't have to worry. She did soak those things in a hot spring. I also appreciated how that proximity alert on Mando's
God, those
landing
visuals.
uses the same sound effect from other ships we've seen in Star Wars when they get a lock on a target. But the crazier, most insane detail is the Orbesh here. This is why I always try to translate it. These letters translate to the words, "Of course I still love you,"
What?
which is an interesting sci-fi reference to a name of one of the two sentient ships in Ian M. Banks, the player of games from the Culture novels. The other ship's name was Just Read the Instructions. Elon Musk also named his SpaceX drone ships as a reference to these as well.
Now that is a legit
Wow.
Easter egg.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real Easter egg.
As a similar kind of reference.
Wow.
But before I get to that, I want to thank Vessi Shoes. for
Dude, they got
sponsoring this
all your
breakdown.
Mandalorian
There are
breakdowns.
two things we can all agree on. Nobody wants anything bad to happen to Baby Yoda ever, and nobody likes wet feet. It's just those two. Lucky for us, Vessi makes these great knit sneakers that are 100% waterproof and weatherproof. They are super breathable too, with an anti.
Would they be good in the snow?
So your feet smell as
You know,
good as they look.
Let's get a pair and try it out.
Vessi shoes
I'm
are
just
super
waiting for
stretchy. They
Eric's
fit like a
upcoming-
sock. They only weigh 175 grams,
upcoming
which
skit.
is insanely light considering they are stronger than
Film on the
Cara
phone.
Dune in an arm wrestling match. They're also made with the space age Dynamex material, so these are shoes that you can wear every day no matter the weather. They're also sustainably made and super easy to clean. Whether you're
matter the
herding
weather,
nerfs, farming moisture,
includes
or
snow.
just running around town in winter weather, Vessi's will keep your feet warm and dry and looking great.
Oh, I wish I could still swim in the Oh no. My shoe got in the pool water, but wait a minute. My toes are so dry. It's sneakers.
Stop it, you adorable man.
An incredible early Black Friday offer going on right now. So go grab yourself a pair for the rainy season while they still have sizes, and you can thank me later. Check them out in the link below. And if you miss a Black Friday sale, use my code NEWROCKSTARS to get $25 off your Bessie shoes. Now, the crane that dredges the Razor Crest from the water looks like a retrofitted AT-AT or AT-AT. Both are okay, so let's leave it at that. But what I love about this one being used this way is that Lucasfilm's art team originally designed these for The Empire Strikes Back by taking inspiration from the massive port cranes in
Oh,
Oakland.
neato!
Circle with their
Smart.
original function. On Trask are aquatic beings, the Quarrens, and the Mon Calamari, like our old pal Admiral Akbar. It's a trap! Both are native to the ocean world Mon Cala, aka Doc, and they've never really gotten along. They did actually have a civil war during the Clone Wars era, but
Yeah.
Anakin Skywalker was able to broker a truce between them. Now, a little detail in the pub I love is how Quarrens season their food. After Pelimoto preferring her meat medium rare, it's just fun to see another example of culinary preferences. These kind of choices have been what Jon Favreau was referring to when Dave Filoni said things like a dime a dozen don't exist in the Star Wars universe. And Mando pays the pub owner with some squishy flan currency, which we also saw back in the first
episode.
And then from Baby Yoda's chowder, a squid latches onto his face, xenomorph facehugger style. Another example of the alien motif we saw a lot of last episode. Now, the Quarren boat that they take out looks like a retrofitted Hammerhead class corvette, the one another famous Mon Calamari, Admiral Raddus, used to knock disabled Imperial Star Destroyers into each other during the Battle of Scarif in Rogue One. But those dirty trickster Quarrens trap Mando by feeding Baby Yoda to a Mama Core. This, I think, is a new beast in the Star Wars universe. But it's interesting to note that Mando's jetpack seems to work underwater, apparently. But Mando gets saved by Dank Theric Bo-Katan Kryze, played by Katie Sackhoff, and Axe Woves, played by Simon Cassianides from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Oscar Reeves, WWE star Sasha Banks. Now, Bo-Katan is a hugely important character in the Star Wars animated series, Clone Wars, and Rebels. She was once a member of the Death Watch, but she left that group after Maul took over the group and then used them to steal the Mandalorian
Maul is so
throne.
cool in this
Bo-Katan's
show.
sister is Duchess
So
Satine, former ruler of Mandalore and one-time love interest to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hello there. Chronologically, we last saw Bo-Katan in Star Wars Rebels. She was wielding the ancient Mandalorian sword of the Darksaber and using it to unite the Mandalorian people. But most recently in our time, we saw her in Clone Wars Season 7 right after Ahsoka helped her retake Mandalore, but right as Order 66 was about to go out. It is so cool to see these Night Owls fight. Ludwig Göransson's Sith percussion is so intense, and the three of them move so fluidly.
I love the
in
use
sync,
of the
just as
jetpack
Bo-Katan's
with the
animated
wire
version of
effects
Clone Wars
for the
does. But
fighting.
what I like about it is it's an interesting contrast to the way Mando fights. He has a more defensive, I'll just let anyone hit me approach, because he is a loner and he is learning how to be part of a tribe now. Bo-Katan's helmet and armor are painted with these owl markings, just like they are in the animated series. You can also see it on their shoulder patches. These are for the Night Owl group. This is a group she formed after leaving the Death Watch.
And you are a child of the Watch.
Yeah, Bo-Katan is reminding us that Mando was actually saved by that previous group of hers, the Watch, thus their three-pronged
Oh,
sigil
yeah, when
that
they
was on
opened the
flashback. And Bo-Katan gives us
that's
some
true.
much-needed clarity about why Mando was so strict about never removing his helmet. Yes, not all Mandalorians are this strict, but it's just his group is a kind of cult of zealots that broke away from Mandalorian society to rebuild after the Purge using strict ancient traditions to do so. And when they free Baby Yoda from the Mama Core, his carrier is dented. I've always found it interesting that that carrier is designed to look like an egg. A bit of ironic justice for that little fatso eating all the eggs last episode. Now his egg gets swallowed. Now later, Bo-Katan declares her objective.
We're seizing those weapons and using them to retake our homeworld. Once we've done that, we'll seat a new Mandalore on the throne.
That planet is cursed. Anyone who goes there dies. Once the Empire knew they couldn't control it, they made sure no one else could either.
Don't believe everything you hear.
Interesting. So apparently the Empire has been using propaganda to try to scare Mandalorians from trying to return to their home world, which does connect with how Moff Gideon used that war crime tragedy term, the Night of a Thousand Tears. But as a leader of the Mandalorian resistance, Bo-Katan obviously sees that defeat as totally reversible. Now they plot to hijack this Imperial Gozanti freighter, a ship that we have seen in the animated series and briefly in the background of Mos Espa when Qui-Gon and the others arrived in Phantom Menace. Mando leaves Baby Yoda with the adorable frog couple whose eggs now begin to hatch into tadpoles, meaning they have been fertilized from the night before. Nice.
Nice.
The Imperial freighter, the Siren,
Frog sex.
theme that we've
Disney
heard
will
on
never
Imperial
show
Craters since Empire. Love that they brought that back. And it is captained by this Imperial commander based on his insignia, played by Titus Welliver, aka the Man in Black from Lost. Love this guy. And if you look closely on the bridge display, the Orbis translates to breach. I do love how these stormtroopers report that there are 10 pirates, maybe more, when, yeah, the pilot just reads that the thermal scans verify there are only 4 of them. Idiots. Comedy actor Kevin Dorff cameos as the Imperial officer who locks them in the cargo control area, allowing the Mandalorians to blow them out the cargo door. Now, Bo-Katan says to the bridge,
Put some tea on. We'll be up in a minute.
this is some example of some consistent universe details. Like in Clone Wars, tea is a big thing for the people of Mandalore. Like Pre Vizsla drinks it with Maul, and Pre Vizsla was voiced by Jon Favreau.
Time for tea. Come join me.
Bo-Katan
I didn't
was with
realize
the
Jon
network at the time,
Favreau
and Dave Filoni
voiced him.
produced all this, so all this episode is like a big reunion. That's why we fans are really loving it. Now, Bo-Katan aims specifically to get the dark saber back. This is, of course, the sacred Mandalorian sword that dates way back to ancient times. This tells us that Moff Gideon must have taken the saber during the Purge, but the fact that she wasn't certain that he took it suggests that she didn't lose the saber in a duel with him face to face, but that maybe he like snatched it away while she was elsewhere during that fight. But Moff Gideon
Pink Panthered her.
Snuck in while she was asleep.
Yeah.
Long live the Empire.
Interesting. So it sounds like this Imperial group are as insanely committed zealots to their lost cause of the Empire as Mando's tribe is to his way. Now, we know after the Empire collapsed...
Kinda reminds me of a political joke I wanted to make.
What might that be?
That could have been part of what Gideon did with the Purge of Mandalore,
can't
but
possibly
this group seems to
draw
be
a
more
conclusion.
forward-looking. They got some plans. They want the child. They're doing something. Could be clone-related. Could be connected with the Empire's secret plot to resurrect Palpatine and rebuild the Sith fleet that we see a generation later in The Rise of Skywalker. Though, I gotta say, I hope not. I kind of want to forget that.
I keep forgetting these movies are canon.
That's what he does. He takes a subtle gulp as if he is sucking out his suicide pill in that moment. And then later, when he bites down on it, it fries his jaw.
Oh,
with
neat. Good
electricity.
catch.
An interesting visual parallel
How do
with
you
the way
catch
the Emperor
that?
Sith lightning sizzled Hader's teeth when he threw him over the ledge. And Ahsoka finally reveals to us that Mando can find Ahsoka Tano, who's probably going to appear next episode, played by Rosario Dawson. And I love how I don't think we have seen any of that footage in any promo footage or trailer. She apparently is on the forest planet Corvus in the city of Caladan, which, as far as I can tell, are new locations in the Star Wars universe.
Oh, thank God.
And then
I was so
Mando
worried that
leaves
I didn't know.
Bo-Katan by echoing her, "This is a way," telling it back to her. A sign that this guy might have finally moved a bit in his stubbornness and his dogma, closer toward a place of religious tolerance. And I
is a
love how that
way.
final image leaves a tiny, tiny little piece of that poorly repaired Razor Crest behind, almost as if to say Mando's character shell is starting to wither away to reveal the beautiful human soul underneath. That is all I
Or-
noticed in the episode.
or
Again, you
it
can
was
support
just
this channel
funny.
And get yourself some great apparel and accessories at newrockstarsmerch.com.
That's a very
Check
important
it out.
piece to
Subscribe to
film
New
if the ship
Rockstars.
is
Hit
gonna
that
come back
notification
later.
button. Follow me at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars. See you next time. I have spoken.
And you
Hell yeah.
speak well, Eric Voss.
Hell yeah, man. What does dank ferric mean? Somebody tell me.
I mean, it sounds to me like a ferric perhaps is some kind of creature that is, you know, prone to becoming especially moist and gamey or something, you know?
I'm glad you have all the right answers, John. I
Either that or
appreciate
it's
that.
goddamn it. It's the same
It's
syllable
one,
count.
It's one of the two. There's some neat things that they pointed out here in this video that have me kind of wondering where the story might be going forward from here on out. I mean, but firstly, there's like some cool little Easter eggs. Of course, the one with the "Of course I still love you." Like,
yeah.
To me, it's just such a, that's not even like a Star Wars Easter egg. Exceeds far beyond that at that point. AT-ATs and the port cranes. We saw that with the last episode with the spider, how that was supposed to be used for Empire Strikes Back. It seems like they do a lot in this show to try to bring things full circle constantly. Things that weren't used or things that haven't been brought to live action, whether that be books or comics or the show themselves, like with Bo-Katan, throwing them here into the live action series, I think is just wonderful. One thing that kind of hit me when watching this particular New Rockstars video were the themes about being a Mandalorian. The first episode dealt with the Cobb character, themes of the armor, and then the second episode deals with the theme of like honoring your word. When Frog Lady is using the Zero droid, you're supposed to honor your word, get off your ass, Mando. Yeah. And then in this one, it's dealing with variations of the religion of being a Mandalorian, of how not all them are the same, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
he's being directly confronted with people who he shares a relation with, but also who have, markedly different viewpoints that could easily drive a sincere chasm between them. And so, I think that's actually a great way to look at that and break that down in terms of this progression, sort of confronting his identity. Yeah, here's a guy who's totally not Mandalorian, rocking the armor, but doing it for arguably a decent reason. And then, Mandalorian himself having to really examine the way as he upholds it. And then, looking at the bigger picture of that in the third episode.
They have the line of "this is a way," because we've heard the line "this is the way" so many times, and I actually think that flew over my head when we watched it the other day. Of "this is a way" of showing like there's not only one way. It's not "this is the way." I was actually wondering if people might be confused by that part when she does take off her helmet, because they don't make it totally clear. And I think there's some people who, when they did watch it, who haven't seen like Clone Wars, are not that familiar with Bo-Katan. Wait a minute, why is she taking off her helmet? She gives a little bit of an explanation here, but I'm kind of confused why she's taking off her helmet, because they made such a big deal about it in the first season. It was such an important thing for Mando to not take off his helmet. Yeah, when they do it here, she does it like it's no big deal. But I really love when you get her perspective on it, of like, a bunch of cult zealots. You know?
Guys,
let it go.
Our good
Let it
beliefs
go.
and our good systems and turning them into these fundamentalist ridiculous. What he confronts with Bo-Katan, at least in those kind of spiritual elements of Mandalorian culture. I mean, that's the kind of thing that happens, I think, to a lot of people in natural life.
I like when sci-fi stories explore that gray area and you see the growth here. And I love that visual illustration to what Eric drew comparison of, between how they work as a team, she's a leader, and then when it's time for Mando to have his moment to shine, he just kind of goes in there, lone style, lets himself get shot by all these blasters. He's still learning to work as a unit and work with others. I mean, we saw him work with others in the previous season, not to the extent like this, where he has an opportunity to really work alongside other Mandalorians.
And a team that is fully formed versus like a ragtag crew of people who are really kind of tenuously on the same mission.
Yeah, I really do wonder, because there were some things that I didn't quite latch onto the first time we watched it that was pointed out here about the propaganda element that the Empire is throwing towards the world of Mandalore, of trying to keep people from trying to go back there. Well, I'm like, it makes sense to me. I mean, Mandalore is constantly in shambles. It's constantly being overtaken or overruled. And
it does seem like
there's conflict within the Mandalores all the time. It can be a hostile environment. So I didn't read much into it, but the idea that the Empire is pushing some type of propaganda and Bo-Katan's going against it, it's making me curious to see, because she has to come back. You know, even though Mando exits this episode, she has to come back because she is the one in search of the Darksaber. And so I do think we have to see how Moff Gideon took it. I feel like it'd be kind of annoying if we don't see it. There's got to be a flashback
episode or extended sequence, because that seems like a very significant story to want to touch.
They're going to show it they're going to recreate the Last Jedi scene when Luke is standing over Kylo Ren, and they're just gonna face swap Luke with Moff Gideon and Kylo with Bo-Katan.
That is they have the technology.
They
Why
course
not?
corrected it.
Yeah.
It's poetry. It rhymes.
Oh, it's an alternate timeline, but very similar to this time.
Yeah, we have to see that, because then, her whole goal to reclaim Mandalore, I wonder if we're going to explore that, or if it's setting that up in a way for season. I don't know if we'll go there in season 2. I mean, it would be great to see actual Mandalore in this show at some point. That would be awesome to see that. And if he's part of the fight to help Bo-Katan reclaim Mandalore, I would love that. I mean, because Mandalore is so heavily explored in the animated series that it would be really cool to see how they could bring it to life.
Yeah.
And the fact that they had like an accurate costume for Bo-Katan, I'm wondering how accurate they could go with real life production value, bringing what's been animated into live action.
Oh, incredibly accurate, I am sure, especially in the Star Wars world. But yeah, to bring that up even and have them have the little quarrel about the merits of trying to go back and reclaim it, like that seems like a pretty juicy thing to potentially really bring us into, and to literally, in the shoes of Din Djarin, enter that myth and see if it holds true. You know, like that would be a really cool place for the season to go. Maybe season 3 will be called The Mandalorians.
Yes.
And then it'll just be the whole homeworld. There you go.
Oh boy. And I love also too a little quick note about the Quarrens and then Mon Calamari, because the Quarrens, from my recollection, they were portrayed a little bit more often falling on the wrong side of the war. Here you have a little demonstration of that here. Mon Calamari helps out. Quarrens betray. They go down the
can't trust a Quarren.
Can't trust a Quarren. Dank Ferrix. Dank Ferrix.
Sultan, there's Chowders.
All right, guys. Well, Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 3. Leave your thoughts down below. Hey, subscribe to New Rockstars if you haven't done so already. Get some of their t-shirts. We should get a t-shirt. Yeah. Maybe we should hit them up. Be like, yo, we've been on Rogue Theory a couple times. Can I get a t-shirt?
Pay us in t-shirts.
Pay us in many t-shirts. Subscribe. Click that notification bell. Check out our Mando reaction if you haven't done so already. Last but not least, Scuba Steve. There's 6 people out of 30 patrons every month that John weirdly seems eager to shout out all the time. So John, take it away.
Scuba Steve, I hope you're okay. Today I just want to express well wishes and healthy energy because you've got a new job and it sounds very high stakes, keeping people, helping the elderly and also keeping them shielded from their relatives who might bring COVID in. That's a lot, man. And just to hear all the things that you've gone through over the course of this quarantine, I'm glad that you're working again, but also it sounds like a job that requires a lot of mental fortitude. So I just hope that you're taking some time out for yourself and, jump in a hot spring and bring some eggs. Relax, man. Self-care. Love you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Hope you had a good Halloween, too. Horror movies. Hell yeah. And now I'm going to glance at you for approval.
That was great, John.
Thanks, Greg.
I just wish you didn't say the C word.